So I recently put a video out there on how I make embroidered greeting cards, and here's a couple of them that I've made for Christmas. And I got several requests as a result of that as to how do I make the envelopes that go with my cards, since these are now very custom made. You probably could go and search Amazon and find envelopes if you wanted to, but I make my own from cardstock, not cardstock, card paper. A lot of crafting paper, various weights are out there. And so I got requests to show how I make them. And that's what this video is about. I'm going to preface this by saying you need to have what they call a scoreboard to be able to make these envelopes. You can be found at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Amazon has them as well. So I'm going to first start by showing you the tools that you will need to make the greeting card envelopes, and then I'll show you how I actually make them. Now, there's two types of scoreboards out there. There's this one here that from We Are Memory Keepers, okay, but I'm going to have a totally different video on which scoreboard I like better and why. There's this one here. This was the original one I started with years ago. Actually, this is my third one. So we'll get into that in the next video. But I recently discovered this scoreboard out there, and it's from a company called Recollections. Very different. And this is the one I'm going to use for today's video. And if you want to know why and get into all that, watch the video on my comparison of the two. But since this is my new one, and this is the one that I'm having the most luck with, this is the one we're going to use. So first thing you need is a scoreboard. The next thing that you need, you don't have to have this. This one's completely optional. But I used to do a lot of scrapbooking, and so I had some punches here. And this is one that will cut out the little notches. You can do that with scissors. You don't have to have this, but I have a bunch of these things from scrapbooking, so I'm going to use what I have. The next thing that you're going to need is something called, it's a double-sided tape. I find this on Amazon, and I'll put a link to this below. Really, you need double-sided tape, and depending on the purpose of the card and how long you think the envelope might be kept, or are you mailing it, how strong do you need the tape, there's various ones out there. This is one that when I was learning this technique, the instructor told us that this has been very well tested, this brand, and again, I will put the link below. I can't pronounce it. It's SOOKWANG, but it holds up to the elements of heat and cold. So if you're mailing it, it's a very strong double-sided tape. Regular scrapbooking tape, it's just my own experience is it wasn't as durable. So you need a double-sided tape of some sort, and then you need the paper that your envelope is going to be made out of. I like to use bright, fun holiday papers to coordinate, whether it's birthday, I got paper that has balloons and happy birthday and things like that. If it's wedding, it's more appropriate for that. But I'm making Christmas cards, so I buy paper in packages, and I buy them in packages like this. Again, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Amazon, Joann's went before they went out of business. But they come in little packs. Tip, I am very frugal. I do not go out and buy the paper and everything that I need now. I wait until, because it's now December 4th, 2025, I will wait until right after Christmas, when this is usually 90% off, and I'll go get some packages of it then. Easter, spring, fun ones, I wait until right after the holiday. So spend your money the way you want to, but that's how I get my paper stash. So this is vellum paper. It's very thin and transparent. You can, see through it. I use this if I'm going to, like my cleaning lady's card, I'm going to hand deliver to her, some of my neighbors. If it's not going in the mail, if it's not going to be sent anywhere like that, then this is completely appropriate. And I think it's kind of fun because when you put the card in there, it's almost like you can see through the envelope and they have an idea what it looks like ahead of time. For today's video, I have gotten, because when I do it on a fun paper like that, you can't really see the score lines, which I want you to be able to see. So I just have a very, very neutral one here for you to see. The next thing that you need to be aware of is that both of your scoreboards come with instructions, and both of them will have a chart on here depending on the size of your card or whatever you're making your envelope for, because you can make these any size you want. There's a chart on here that will tell you what size piece of paper you need. For this card, the ones that I've made this year, I need it to be a 10.5-inch square piece of paper. Same size regardless of which board I'm using. So these packs of paper come in 12 by 12. I've never made a card that I've needed a 12 by 12 larger than that piece of paper. So this is plenty big enough. But you have to take your original 12 by 12 and just using your rotary cutter and your mat or a regular ruler, you need to cut this down to 10.5 by 10.5. So I'm now going to switch to the other camera here so that you can see an overhead shot of what I'm doing and how I make the envelopes. So I have the camera turned around now and we're ready to actually create our envelope. So the first thing I need to do is I need to set this in here so that, and there's all these little tracks. So if you notice right here, I want this to line up so that it's a clear shot. There, if I move it over one, you'll see that it doesn't line up with this little notch. If I'm too far off, it doesn't. So I want to make sure that I have this lined up so that it's a clear shot. And there's all these little grooves, so this will slide up and down and you know you have it in there securely. The next thing that I need to do is I need to take my piece of paper, and because I know from looking at the charts and everything that I need a 10.5-inch square. I've trimmed this down from a piece of 12-inch paper. I'm going to lay this in here. Oh, make sure that this stays lined up. And this will now slide nicely off of the edge. I know from my chart that I need to line this up right here at the 4.5-inch mark. So once I line that up, you'll see here that it says score. That means that right here is where I make my first score line. And I'm doing it really hard, so hopefully you guys can see it, but it doesn't take it to be that hard when you're doing it. Now, I will take this piece of paper and I no longer care about these measurements. I will turn my paper 90 degrees and I will line up. Again, my paper's along this line, and I am going to line up that score line. And let me get a pencil real quick, just so that you can see that really well. I can see it, but I'm not sure on the video if you can see it. So I'm gonna just draw a little pencil here. Okay, I want that line where the score line is to line up as if it's coming straight off of this little line right here. So it's a straight shot. Now I'm going to again hold it and I'm going to now score this way. I hope you guys can see that solid score line there. And again, I'm going to turn it 90 degrees. Again, lining up that score line right there with that little lip, and I will do my third score. Now I will rotate it one more time, lining up that final score line with that little lip. Again, I'm not paying attention anymore. I only use that measurement for the first score line. And now I'm going to, once again, score my final edge. Now, I'm finished with this tool. I can actually set it aside. If you have this cool little punch, then great. If not, you don't have to. You can just use a pair of scissors and you'll see right here that I have a little triangle that I can remove with just a regular pair of scissors. Or I can use this punch and you can see that I line up these two little notches with my score lines and I just have to press it. And there I have it cut out. And I can do that on all four corners, or all four middles. It's not corners. Gotta watch what I say. And then I can do the fourth one. Now, if I rotate this around, you'll see that I have a rounded corner. I can fold this and I can be done at this point with my paper. But if you just want to upscale it a little bit more, use the rounded corner side of it and you have a nice little rounded edge there instead of the sharp corners. You cannot do this step until after you've done your scoring because you need the pointed corners to line up with your 4.5 inch mark on that first score. Teaching this in class one day, I had a lady say, well, can't I just round my paper before I start? The answer is no, because then you're not going to know exactly where that 4.5 inch is. Now that I have this scored and I have it cut out, now I can just take it and on those lines, fold it. I think you can see the envelope coming to life. Okay, at this point, this is where my double-sided tape comes into play. I will use my double-sided tape and I will put it down. And it rips easily. I don't even use scissors or anything for it. Then I pull the other side off of my tape. And at this point, I like to hold these down flat, just so that I have a nice flat, and I don't end up with any bubbles in there. Now, I have a finished envelope. I have my embroidered greeting card. I can now take, or envelope. Now I can take my greeting card and I can easily slide it in there, okay? Now, to seal it, I would just take a piece of double-sided tape and I would put it on the edges of my envelope. If you're mailing it, I do it like this because I want to make sure that it's nice and secure and closed. If I'm just handing it to, say, my cleaning lady or my neighbor or something, I might just put a little piece right up there. Now, when I'm ready to address this and seal it, I just pull those pieces off, seal it, address it. One thing I think you should be aware of is that please know that this will take oversized postage. So don't just put your regular basic U.S. stamp on there and expect it to get to where it's going. You'll get returned to sender on it. So do make sure that you know from the post office what the right postage is for the finished card size. I hope that explains to you how to quickly and easily create your own envelopes of any size for any card that you make. So if you have any questions or that was not clear, please reach out and let me know. Thank you.